Hello, everyone. Today is January 26th, 2023. This is the Kubernetes Storage SIG meeting. Today, we are going to go over 1.27 planning spreadsheet. And then we do have a couple of issues, and then there's a design review. So if you are working on an enhancement, make sure that the enhancement issue has the lead opt-in label. If it's not on, please pin one of the SIG leads. And also, if you want to opt in for blog, create a placeholder PR against this website, Kubernetes website repo, and let the SIG leads know. So let's move on to this spreadsheet. Okay, so the first one is to recover from resize failures. Hemant.
Yes, so I was working on, I have enabled E2E test. I identified an issue with like the versions queue between external resizer and kubelet, and I made a PR to fix it. And I have to enable it. Actually, I noticed that it's not enabled in the alpha test suite that we run in test infra. And reason for that, it used to break when there's a versions queue. So I have a PR. I opened a PR for it, and I am working on updating the enhancement. But there's a bit of a what to say, question mark for the feature itself, because the quality of service enhancement depends on the APIs that is going beta in this release, and they are proposing changes into this, allocated resources and resize status API field. So if we do make those changes, I think this is something we'll have to discuss afterwards or on Monday CSI implementation meeting, if this feature can go beta in that case.
Okay, sure. We can discuss that. If it's using the same field, right? Okay.
Yeah, but there's other question is like, I don't know if QoS, like quality of service enhancement will go alpha. We just don't know. So, but we have to decide the path forward.
Okay, yeah, let's discuss.
Yeah, I feel that it's probably worth making the resize API a bit more general. Like even if the QoS service as it currently stands doesn't go through, that having a more general status might be worthwhile doing anyhow. It is unfortunate though that it would delay the beta, so
okay,
it's certainly up for discussion.
Sure.
Yeah. If we do end up making the changes to the API to accommodate like anything either from QoS or something else, then I think we'll have to still keep it in alpha for one more release, if like following the Kubernetes practices.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
We can talk more, yeah, but probably makes sense, yeah, to wait. Thank you. Next one is the issues related to assuming volumes among points. Are we still working on this? This is a bug fix. Is Xing here? Confirmation needed. Okay. I don't know anything. If anyone knows, otherwise I'll say no update here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I was saying that we discussed in the other call, like we have some issues during reconstruction where we assume one point. I don't know if Xing has time, but I can take a look at fixing this.
Okay. Thank you. Add your name here. Mount. Next one is a volume group API. Yeah, so the CSI spec is being reviewed. I think Ben have reviewed it. And then I think James is reviewing now. I think he has some comments. So yeah, so we'll need to get those resolved. And
any major concerns from James?
I think that looks like the two main things. One is this ready to use field, whether we need it in
Right.
a group of like, I'm now thinking if we don't have that, we may have some trouble if we first report success and then report failure. We don't really, it looks a little weird, basically the process sounds like a little weird now. If it's already,
I responded to that one in the PR review.
Mhm.
If that's
I'm
the issue, then
I'm sorry.
I responded to that concern in the
Yeah,
review.
I was thinking,
and we can keep managing that. But if that's the only issue, then I think we're in pretty good shape.
yeah, and there's another issue, which is the secrets. Are you okay if we don't have the volume secrets? Because right now I don't have a concrete example of someone actually needing it. This Humble says they don't really need it. So I'm thinking the secrets although they have this per volume secret, but it's maybe does not mean every volume has a different secret. It's just they need to pass that into that call. It doesn't.
Is there anyone? Do we have anyone from Portworx? Because I suspect.
I pinned I'm not sure if anyone is on the call today. I pinned Grant just to ask him that question, just to see if they really need it. If they also don't need it, I think we don't really have anyone who really need different secrets.
It was Portworx that was pushing for the per volume secrets from the beginning. And
okay.
I could imagine that there's a scenario where to take a snapshot of multiple volumes, you would actually need the secrets for each of those volumes. So
let's wait for his reply and then we can settle down if
I think also NetApp might have some cases for per volume secrets too.
Oh, then Ben, you have an example of using different secrets for NetApp?
So when I was still at NetApp, there was the use of secrets for the purpose of encryption. Like it wasn't necessary for just ordinary functioning, but if you wanted to have encrypted volumes, yeah, you would need the secrets. And then I'm trying to think through, would that matter at snapshot time? Maybe.
So
I haven't. Let me think about that offline, and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just
it might be worth it might just be worth poking somebody.
If Ben, can you find out?
Alex is the person to poke.
Yeah, can you talk, because it'd be better for you to ask him rather than me. You actually have contacts, right?
I think Alex reviewed the spec, didn't he?
He did. He didn't say anything about the secrets, but I think maybe I can also ping him and just see if he has anything, if we remove the volume secrets, if he has any concerns. He didn't say anything about the secrets at all. So I doubted he has any problem with that, but definitely
it's one of those very tricky, hard to think about issues, and I don't want to screw up this feature by like not putting enough, because that's what happened with the list APIs. The list APIs are basically unusable in CSI because we didn't think enough about secrets when we designed them.
Did anyone complain about that? I have never heard anyone reporting to me they have a problem with the secrets for list. Why that's not usable? Someone said that? I have not heard from anyone saying it does not work for their storage system.
There was a bug. There was a discussion that happened, I don't know, I think on GitHub at least a year ago.
You know who, like which vendor is that?
I would have to guess it was Portworx.
Okay, so let's find out. If they don't have, I mean, because as Jen was saying, that can be added later if we need it, right? So it's not like we can not add that later.
Well, the reason I want to get this right is because we're going to build the sidecar on the Kubernetes side, and the sidecar actually determines like how the secrets get mapped from Kubernetes into the CSI RPC, and like it's hard to change that later. And so
Sure. But I think James was like, okay, if no pews complain there's secrets everywhere. If there is no need, then why do we want it? I mean, we need to find someone who actually asks for it, because otherwise, why we want to build something nobody is really asking for. That was the main thing, right?
I agree with that.
I'm
agree.
fine
and
either way. I was
as
just
long as
like,
it's alpha, we can change it. You
Yeah.
know, I had this sense that we're probably going to need it, and so we should spend the effort up front to define it. But if literally nobody wants it, we can get rid of it.
Yeah. So let's just see. Let's at least check with Portworx and NetApp. At least check with them. If none of them need it, then I don't know. I don't know if I have enough evidence to tell James we definitely need it. Right? He was like, "Can we table it for later?" So let's get back to this one. Let's just ask them questions. Yeah, so I think those are the two main thing. The rest of them should be easy to address. Yeah, so I think we are getting close. Okay, and also I updated the cap. Michelle, if you can take a look, because now we dropped a lot of things. It looks
sounds good.
Yeah, thank you. All right, and that's this. Okay, the next one is provision volumes from cross namespace snapshot PVC. We keep this in alpha, right? So, oh, Michelle, you want to give an update on this one?
So we there is one of the criteria for going to beta was we need to figure out or remove the reference grant API into a like SIG off home. And so the cap for that is under discussion now, but I think we'll pretty much have to wait for that to progress before we can go to beta. And I think there were a couple more items that still needed to be implemented, like I think the E2E tests and also the populator library update. And so I think Takafumi is working on that.
Thank you. Next one is the CSI volume health. This is the metrics one. Still, the E2 test is still work in progress. I have not got an update from Ryan yet. And next one is change block tracking. Is Yvonne on the call? So we have been discussing this one in the data protection working group because last time the aggregated API approach got rejected. So now we are going back to look at the REST API approach again. So there are still some questions we still need to continue to discuss how to implement it this way.
I think we're actually leaning towards gRPC, not REST, right?
Okay, but I think we still need to have I thought we still need to have a REST API. But anyway, it's basically not the aggregated API approach.
Right, it's an out of band API.
Right. Or I'll just say. Okay, so the new the rewrite one's access mode. I'm not sure if Chris is back. Michelle, you want
I just saw he updated the PRR after some comments. So
okay.
Yeah, it's under a PRR review.
What is PRR? Sorry.
Production readiness review.
Oh, okay.
So it's part of when you create a KEP there, they have the KEP template and the PRR template is also there. There's a bunch of questions on like, what SLIs and metrics do you have? Any playbooks and, how does like upgrade and rollback and stuff work?
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you have a cap, then make sure that you have that section filled out by, I think it's the 2nd, I believe. So this deadline.
And there's a special team of reviewers that'll take a look at it.
Is it for beta or
Alpha
even
has
for-
for alpha you need to fill that out, but for alpha it's pretty easy. There's just
Okay.
one small section. Yeah, for beta it's more complicated. Yeah, take a look of the cap. Yeah. Next one is the runtime assisted mounting. Is deep here. So I thought Ben reviewed it, right? The CSI PR. Do you know?
Well, I started to review it and I asked one question that would strongly influence the design, and Deep
Oh.
kind of agreed with
Okay.
me and said, yeah, we need to change that.
Is he did he update the PR yet, or is still working on it?
He said he would, but
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't follow up. And that
Okay.
was only a few days ago, so.
Okay. Yeah, I think he said he will try alpha last time. Okay. The next one is the CSI proxy for Windows. Transition to privileged containers. Is Mauricio here? It's out. Michelle, do you know anything about this one? It's just being reviewed, review in progress, or? I think
Yeah, I asked Deep to take a look at this. I think Deep left some feedback already.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Next one is the secure Linux relabeling using mount options. Is Yang on the call?
Yep. There has been no update. I want to update the cap soon-ish and send it to PRR.
Oh, I do have a question. So you have this new issue for the reconstruction, right? Do we track it here? What are we?
Yeah, I just edited it at the bottom.
Oh,
at the
okay.
beginning of this call. Well,
I don't see that somewhere.
robust.
Oh, this one. Okay.
After the
Okay.
yeah. So
Data.
we'll
Okay.
come there. We will come there.
Okay.
I need a reviewer.
Data from okay,
Yeah, hopefully,
so
hopefully.
okay, so we need to get a review. So who will help us review this
Yeah,
one?
I'm looking for a reviewer.
I
don't know, Michelle, Hemant. Do we have Xing here?
Jean is not here. Jean can probably help review this as well, right? Okay, so does this need a API review? This one does
No,
not, right?
no.
This is probably just this one. So Michelle, come on, I just put his name there. All right, this actually
This is for the reconstruction stuff.
yeah. I'll put you
Yes.
all. This one basically, I type in M, actually just automatically all three. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Sorry, where are we? Oh, did I think we missed something. I was like, okay, I think I missed this one. Node expansion secret. I think Humble said the E2E test will be ready by Monday. Okay, that's this. And then CSI migration. So we have a few items just for removing entry code. Do we have an owner for this? I don't know who is working on this one. Michelle, we're just waiting for volunteers.
Sorry, which one is this one?
This is the removing code, removing entry GC code. Do
I
we have
see.
anyone working on this?
I think each cloud provider can potentially, take the lead on this.
Okay, so is this a Matt who was working on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can put my name here. It's we can say as a cloud provider, we are looking for volunteers to help us with this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, so this next one is not basically just for tracking purpose. And then AWS. Do we have anyone or also looking for volunteers? So we maybe put Matt Wang here, but not sure if does anyone know who can work on this, or otherwise I'll just say look for volunteers. And then I think the next one is Azure Disk. That one, Andy is working on this. I think he already has a PR. And Azure file, okay, not ready yet. Ceph RBD. So Humble said he's going to take a look and see if he can do this for basically beta in 1.27. So he will let us know next week. And then next is the Ceph FS. Yeah, so that's also another one. I think he has not got back yet. I think this is still the same. And next one, Portworx, CSM migration. I checked with Oksana, but she has not got back to me. She said she will take a look, but I'm not sure. So I'll ping her. Next one is always owner reclaim policy. So yeah, he may not have time. I don't know if Deepak is here. Next one is control volume mode conversion between source and target. So this one, E2 test is out for review. It's getting close. So this is looking good. Next one is a better default storage class. So this is just tracking for 1.28. Do we have anything going on for this one, Yang? For in 1.27? Or just leave this one here for tracking?
I think we are just waiting for one release before declaring it GA.
Okay, I'll just skip this. Okay, so next one, quality of service for volumes. So Matt, Sunny, you want to give a review, give a update on this, or?
Yes, so the quick test is out, but like I'm just waiting for some review and feedback.
Yeah, we have a we were figuring on discussing things here. I think it is probably unlikely that we'll have a kept for this to be alpha in 127, but we should make it a provisional cap this cycle.
Okay.
And I think, so far we found the main thing is actually this coordination with the recovery from expansion failure. So we could probably focus on resolving that. Anyway, that was our idea. If other people think we could make it in 127 as alpha, we're definitely willing to hear that too. But I just feel that it's unlikely we'll reach consensus in a week.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The tight, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'll review that one, and let's talk about the building the consensus on a Monday meeting.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Cool, thank you. That sounds good.
Can you add this issue here, Matt or Sunny?
Yes.
Yeah, yep.
All right. Next one is efficient mount time handling of FS group. So Jonathan added this one, right?
Yeah, right. Sorry, I don't have any updates this week. I still have some changes to make to the cap. I just need to find the time to follow up on that.
So cap is not out yet, right? You have a,
Right.
okay.
No, I still have some work to do on that.
Okay. Another thing is this a design in 1.27?
It's just design. That's right.
Okay. All right, so we'll just leave it as design. I think we talked about this next one, robust volume manager reconstruction. And next one, non-graceful no shell. I think it's yeah, we'll wait for one release. So we'll keep looking at the E2E test. And next one is PVC. Oh yes.
Robust volume management. Does anyone have any concern of this feature going to beta? Like we are gonna try, but I'm just trying to
Go to beta directly.
Yeah, like I mean, the feature was there alpha under a different feature kit, so it should be okay, I guess. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay.
You can probably review the cap, right? If we think, then
Yeah,
people
yeah,
can
please.
put comments and just see what are the kind of changes are involved.
Yeah, I was just bringing that up so that
Yeah, I also
that-
take a look of the cap. Yeah, see just yeah. But if it's already you basically added the code in what 1.26, 1.25, the reconstruction code.
126, most of the code.
Okay.
In the cap, I needed to promise some metrics, so that this will be new code.
Okay.
But that's about it, I think. Yeah, and unit tests. I found one piece not tested enough, so I will add a new unit test, but nothing dramatic.
Okay.
Also, like, can I have added access to this spreadsheet?
I think only SIG leads has added permission, but you can comment. If you add a comment, then we can accept it.
Okay.
Because in the past, I think there's it was like by accident something got deleted. That's why then we changed the permission. Initially, this was like editable by everybody.
I wonder if there's a way that we could make it editable by everyone and like have backups that we could restore in case of accidental vandalism.
It's actually possible. I think that this is a
Yeah, that's what we did last
So-
time. Like we restored some older version, but I think
Yeah.
we might have lost some updates in between.
It- Okay. Okay, address issue. PVC created by a staple set will not be auto-removed. This one is already beta, right, Matt? So are we doing anything in
Or
this?
it's targeting beta.
Oh,
Yes,
not beta yet? Oh, I thought, okay, I don't know. I thought this is already beta.
no,
Oh, didn't it? Oh, okay, I forgot. Okay.
Yeah, just at the 11th hour, it should go beta in now. There is some test issues because of a lot of the proud jobs no longer have a default storage class, which has made a lot of the stateful set end-to-end tests like
Okay. So
run well.
the tests are actually already added, right? The EU tests. are already
Yes.
there. It's just not showing the test grid. Is that the problem?
Exactly. They're being skipped
okay.
in all of the
I
test
see.
grids. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And okay, the next one is one expansion for stateful set. So this is a design. So Hemant, you will doing some review in this release, right?
Yeah, I plan to review this release, and make some progress with this one. No updates today, though. It's
Okay.
just still.
Sure.
I just
so-
realized we are missing a feature. Like last time we
which one?
discussed that we would like to have a field in PV since when it was released and since when it was bound and so on. So I will, CAP is going to be published soon-ish, hopefully this week. And it's like quite a simple feature. I will add the fields. Xing,
Okay.
So, okay.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, don't forget that February 2nd is the PRR ready for review date. Okay. Now, come back here. So there are two caps here. Let's see, the first one is 3751 is, okay, so this is the Kubernetes volume.
Before we go there, like in the chat, looks like Eddie has
Something?
volunteered for
Yes.
removing the.
Sorry, I forgot. I actually saw this one popping up, then I got distracted. But let me, okay, so let me add your name there. Let's see, what do you want to season version? AWS EBS. Great, thank you, Eddie. Yeah, thanks for reminding. EBS. Okay, so here. Awesome. Okay, so Sunny, you added this one here, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to talk about this, or you just want people to review this?
Like what do we usually do for this type of review? Because like it would
Yeah,
may take
it's too big. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we can just ask people to review the cap, I think.
Or perhaps it would be useful to, like, it seems the most critical thing is the recovery from expansion decision. Would it be worthwhile talking about both of those issues now?
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that'd be
sure.
good.
Yeah, you want to talk about it? Yeah. Is it it's mentioned here in this?
I was about to say that this API does proposes changes, shows the changes in the allocated resources, but it's not showing what I think we are also changing resize status field. And when I looked at it, it didn't show how that is being changed.
Yeah, so the idea is, I think with the allocated resources field in the status would not change, right? Because that's just a map. And then the idea, yeah, so it's, yeah, as mentioned here, so instead of having as I understand it, the resize status field is basically maps to the capacity in the allocated resources. So it seems like a general way to have a status would be to have a map that's parallel to allocated resources, and then has an entry using the same key. So in the case of resize, it'd be the capacity, and then for the QoS stuff, there would be a status for the corresponding resources, you know, IOPS or throughput. Does that make sense?
Yeah, just trying to pull that. So that's already allocated resources is already a map, right?
Yeah.
And so that doesn't need any change as I understand it, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
And what was we are proposing in resize status is what was
Yeah. So currently there is a resize status, and I guess the thing is, like, as we add more resources, the kind of, you know, if we have a resize status field, then each new resource that gets added will have to add a new status field for itself, which is kind of a pain. And so it seems like it would be general to have the sort of operation status field be a map as well, and that makes it a lot easier to extend it.
okay. So rename resize status to something more generic and make it a map.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess Xing, if you go back to that the code
This
link,
one?
if you, can you search resize status here?
It should be in,
Yeah, so I think it's in the persistent volume claim status.
yeah.
Okay, this
Yeah,
one.
here.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the proposal is, instead of having an explicit resize status, have like a allocated resource status.
Can you go down to the next hit? Or yeah, past these.
This one?
Yeah, here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's changed line 581
Mhm.
from, you know, just like a status to a map
Okay.
of statuses that would be parallel to the allocated resources at line 574.
Okay. That makes sense to me. There's one more thing, like when we did this design, we also followed a little bit what pod resizing was doing. And I just want to like take a look what they are doing, because
Yeah.
if they're also doing something similar, or like what, so that is something I want to, like, we all should take a look whether the pod
Yeah,
resizing.
absolutely. That's a great idea.
And
And I guess the other suggestion I have in the CAP itself is, I guess it was this actual change wasn't really clear. So if in the CAP you can actually add like the type definition, the proposed type definitions and the changes, I think that would help.
yeah, it's not clear that what change we are proposing to resize status. Yeah. And type definition. And the second thing is that we'll have to probably involve someone from API and the people who maintain quota code, which is kind of very hairy and tricky. So it's like, yeah, because we are proposing new fields into the quota. We had to get sign up from, I don't know if it's API, they just direct knows that code. I don't know if anybody else maintains that code. So yeah.
Yeah. So if you can figure out who is the right person to help look at the quota stuff, I think that would be helpful.
And like yesterday. Yeah. So the quota has, and we have to figure out that can the IOPS and throughput be replenished to the end user, to the user. Will they be like, are we proposing that they can be reduced or just increased?
No, they think they need to be able to go both directions, because at least for us, some of our customer use cases is for like doing cost optimization. So I think you would want to be able to change them both up and down.
Do you have a range that is specified ahead of time, like the lower and upper limit? So they can go in that range?
It depends on the provider and the product they have.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that is kind of like, obviously it's challenging, but we have to figure out like, do we want to like have a flow of how it will look like something that we did for recovery, and so that like how will it flow through, like when the quota is replenished and when the user reduces size, when something is in progress, it is going to flow exactly like resize we expect, or there will be changes?
I expect it will be the same. I mean, because we have the basic thing that like the user is going to make a request in the PVC, so then it'll be in a pending state. Then we're going to figure out after we make the call to the cloud provider whether the IOPS was granted or not. And so I think that's the same as resize. I think it's a great idea to document that flow more explicitly.
Yeah.
It wouldn't
I guess I
require
would-
any. Sorry, go ahead. please.
I guess I would maybe, in terms of reviewing this, I would maybe take it in two phases. One is first like review the user experience and the APIs, and at least make sure we come to agreement on that. And then the next steps would be to like dig into a detailed design, exactly how it's going to flow between the various components.
Yeah, makes sense.
So in the CAP, there is a simple flow just for the initial review. So if you want to take a look there.
Okay, and also I think Wayne has his hand up.
Oh yeah, sorry. I didn't see anything in the CAP to address current providers that have IOPS and throughput in storage class today. Do we want to add any guidance to avoid, like the analogy to resize breaks down because with IOPS there's potentially two sources of truth. Whatever provider specific stuff is in the storage class, and then what's added to the PVC. Do we want to add guidance that providers should start ignoring the storage class if they implement this feature?
Yeah, I thought that's a good point. So the way that we're planning on doing this in GCP is that what we have in the storage class is called something like provisioned IOPS on create, to make it explicit that it's just something to be referred to at creation time and could be changed in the future. And I think that sort of seems like the right semantics for a storage class in general, because I mean, just in terms of the how stuff works, the storage class is only referred to, all those parameters in the storage class are only referred to at provision time.
I guess though, I think we're or thinking about like a migration path, because I guess eventually even specifying it in the PVC, that could be used for provisioning too, initially, or in the future.
That's true. So then the storage class becomes like a default creation parameter. I think that's pretty reasonable semantics.
And so a PV, when it's released, might have the underlying resource might have attributes that no longer match its supposed storage class name, and that's a potentially weird customer experience.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, like after creation, the storage class doesn't really matter anymore. Like somebody can go and change the storage class and it will no longer reflect all the current PVs.
That's true.
That's true.
We have like requests or bugs to scale the IOPS when the disk is resized, at least for EBS, for example,
Mhm.
because so IOPS isn't per GB, so the total IOPS should change when the disk grows bigger. So my point is like, for that stuff, like, what do we expect? If like right now we could scale IOPS without this proposal, like as long as we go to EBS driver, we change the code to scale the IOPS based on the resize request. So how do we, like, if any driver is doing that currently, what do we expect that? How do we expect that driver to say that, okay, I have scaled the IOPS? Will it be recorded, or like it's just there? It's just internal implementation detail. We don't care.
I guess to me that feels like an internal implementation detail. Like already we don't really define what a provisioned IOPS is, and I could see like if some providers define the provisioned IOPS absolutely, and other providers define it in terms of IOPS per gig. Like I think all of the quota type stuff Kubernetes does would work the same way, right? You still have a limit, and depending on your provider, sometimes it's per gig, sometimes it's absolute. Yeah, and so like the actual interpretation is cloud provider specific and not necessarily something that Kubernetes is aware of. Like I'm definitely hesitant to like plumb in additional flags that say, you know, like exposed to Kubernetes details, like if the cloud provider automatically scales or not. That just seems like a can of worms that we're not really going to be able to get a clean solution to.
I guess though defining, you know, sort of defining how the error handling should be reported in terms of those error cases, like if somebody tries to adjust the IOPS without adjusting capacity, but the, you know, backend only supports increasing
Mhm.
both at the same
But
time. And
how is that different than a backend that just doesn't support IOPS changing at all? Like, can you just say,
yeah,
look,
yeah,
look,
yeah.
we don't.
I mean, just
Yeah.
sort of defining the failure mode for those kinds of
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
In the KEP, there's this vendor specific fields are mentioned, Azure.io tunable 100. Like, so are we going to allow like vendors to add random, like whatever stuff there, or is it fixed? That had me confused.
I think that's still a little, at least in my mind, that's still a bit uncertain. And I think part of the reason why I feel like it's unlikely we're going to get this in 127. Yeah. So I'm actually not super familiar with the Azure proposal here, and like how it would differ from just a IOPS or throughput.
Need to scroll all the way up. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I see. Additional resource device plugin syntax.
I mean, I think even today we don't enforce, we don't validate the contents of requests, right?
No, there is one place where, because we'd have to change something. I forget exactly where, but yeah, I agree. It is this kind of weird case now where it's kind of a semi-validated map.
But the resource name is an enum, so it has to be fixed. It cannot be a random string right now. Because that resource list is spec resources that request is a resource list, and it's an enum, so it cannot be arbitrary. It's semi-validated, but no.
I thought it was just a string.
I think I was looking at the validation recently, and it doesn't require that the key is of any sort of format.
It's defined as an enum, so I would think that it has to be CPU, memory, storage, RFML storage, those 4 types. but maybe we are not
No, it's
validating.
just defined as a string. So a resource list is a map of resource names, and resource names is a string. We have
Right.
some predefined constants, but it's not an enum.
I mean, that's how we define enum in Golang.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, yeah, it generally gets validated. Other like similar other enums would get validated like this, but I guess we are not validating it. I don't remember if we are validating resource name, but okay. So yeah, that bit has to be like, because if we are going to add vendor thing, then it brings up the whole question about whether it will be, how it will be like quota and all will work. Because the way I'm seeing is like throughput, IOPS there's a corresponding field in quota. But if there's
Yeah.
Azure.io.tunable was
I
the
think
field.
it would be good to have a section somewhere. I don't know if there's already a section here about like sort of the pros and cons of like first classing a provisioned IO concept, and like what things we could do if it was a first class concept versus what things you would not be able to do if it was a third party thing.
So actually, excuse me, if I could just dig into that a bit more. So the way a quota works is it's also just a resource list, I thought. So, like if we open it up, would it be reasonable for people to add azure.io/tunable to a quota as well? And just as long as this tunable thing is a number where, it gets bigger and smaller and can be compared against a quota, does everything work, or is there some cases I'm missing where that could possibly break things? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am trying to.
Does the quota system allow a flat limit, not a limit to the sum of all of the values, but just a limit that every value must be less than X, no matter how many there are? I'm thinking for things that scale with size, like IOPS per gigabyte, you might want to say your quota is 100 IOPS per gigabyte, period. So you can always ask for 100 IOPS per gigabyte or less, but nobody ever adds up all the IOPS per gigabyte you've asked for, because that's a nonsensical number.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
also like the API team might have something to say about like, about extending resource quota with vendor specific strings that way. I don't know, because they have different kind of resources, like countable resources. Like you can set a quota, oh, I want to have 5 PVC, and there are other resources which are counted differently, like storage, like 4 gigabyte, or like it's so we'll have to be kind of mindful of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think we need to dig into that a bit.
I think as long as you have the two different kinds of quotas, the one that is an absolute limit and one that is a limit of the sum, those two things get you what you need.
And if we also add these fields, then how will the resize? So resize status will be a map, and it will be also like a wildcard, like not wildcard, but like.
But yeah, so I think the idea there is then you, like, if you have azure.io/tunable in your resource, you'll have that same key in your allocated resources, and then the same key in your status. And like the thing that we're going to define in the API is that those keys are going to match, and then the status, is going to go through a flow, but we aren't going to enumerate the possible keys.
I think it might be this comment here, I think, is mostly just to say that like I don't think the comment here is to say we're gonna explicitly like support and facilitate any like custom resources, right? I think it's just to say it's more of like a alternative, right? If somebody wants to implement their own, then they could do it. But in terms of like this proposal and like the controllers and the whole flow, we're only going to be looking at these first class keys.
So I thought there was one part of validation or something that actually did enforce a subset of keys, and I think
it might be
we should be explicit if we're going to stop doing that.
Guys, we have to do a time check.
Yeah, we are running out of time actually. So we can continue talk about this Monday or otherwise.
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. I'm super happy that there's so much interest here. I think the one thing is are we okay with delaying the recovery from resize expansion graduation to beta in order to change the status?
I mean, I think if this is the direction we're going to take API ways, then it absolutely. The one thing I was talking to Jan in the morning and we discussed is like we could propose these API changes right away without the QoS cap, so that recovery can go beta GS sooner, and so that it's not like but we have to make justification of why we are doing that.
Yeah, so let's continue. I think we are really running out of time.
Sorry.
Meeting.
Yeah, let's talk.
Yeah, so let's talk about, let's make a decision whether we want to delay this on Monday then.
Yeah.
And then the rest of those, I think either bring up in the next meeting, or maybe some of those can also be on the next Monday or Wednesday's meeting.
Yeah, and I think, for example, the migration detached issue, maybe that would be best discussed on Slack. I don't know if we have
okay, yeah, Slack as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked on Wednesday in migration detached also, I think. Yeah, but okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right.
Thanks, Al.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.